Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rude Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus, and today I brought a guest onto the show that has been on the show before, but he's here to talk about his amazing new documentary. Um, so we just got done with Thanksgiving and we had a big feast. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
It was all right. We had a lot of people come and kind of chew and screw type of thing. Like people ate and then everybody was like gone by dessert, which was weird because everybody brought desserts. So we just were left with like 10 desserts that were just completely uneaten. So we had more dessert than Thanksgiving leftovers for the next few days. So I mean, not a problem with me, but
For sure. So, yeah, I had a good Thanksgiving with my family. We had instead of turkey this year, well, we did eat a little bit of turkey at our big family Thanksgiving, but for our like little family, we had ham because we haven't had like spiraled ham. We hadn't had ham in a long time. And it's like, let's do something different because, we have turkey every year. Let's try some ham. And then, of course, we did end up eating some turkey at our big family Thanksgiving, but it's a good time spending time with the family and
yeah,
got to see a bunch of people I haven't seen in a while.
we
But
my wife spoils us every year. She makes a turkey and a ham.
oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh
But
man.
she purposely gets like a smaller turkey, so there's like, so it's not the turkey's not just the main, dish. It's like both things. People will grab both things because if not, there won't be enough of one or the other.
Right.
So it's either like a 10 or a 12-pound turkey and then like a 10 or 12-pound ham.
For sure. So everyone that hasn't seen a podcast with Edward Payson is our guest today. And I only brought up Thanksgiving because it ties in with the movie that we'll be talking about, In Search of All American Massacre, the Lost Texas Chainsaw film. And who knows more about family feasts than the Sawyers?
Yeah, right.
So, um, I just want to say thank you, Edward, for coming on the show, man. It's been, I don't know, a couple years, I think, since we talked about.
Yeah. We my last movie was not horror related. It was a video game documentary, and then before that, we did Our Friend John, which I guess is horror related because they're making a horror movie. But yeah, that's more of like a special interest documentary. Yeah, so it's been like since like 2019, I want to say.
Right. Yeah. My first year doing a podcast. So yeah, it's been a while. And that one, I think that was like early stages of me doing podcasting. So that was all like, I had to do everything from my phone. And my last episode, I ended up running into some technical issues and I ended up having to use my phone. So that's kind of funny how that worked out. But usually, uh, I I don't know. I've upgraded my stuff a little bit. Um, but yeah, I watched the Rarity documentary that you made, and
Oh,
there is some horror elements in there. Like the uh, what was that video game?
Chiller.
Chiller. Yeah, I've that was one game that I never got to play, so it was really cool to see a lot of gems that you shown on the documentary that I'd never even heard of,
Yeah, that's
including
kind of
Chiller.
the theme we were trying to go for. Is like, how many times can you talk about Mario or Zelda or something like that? Like, let's go to the stuff that people haven't talked about to death, and that's why we get into like the porno games and that kind of thing. That like they're really expensive, but like the average person hasn't heard of them, and here's why type of thing. So yeah, we were like, we kind of wanted to make it so it was accessible to the average viewer who maybe isn't so far into video game collecting, but also have that niche stuff for the people that are into video game collecting and want to see new stories and new products, I guess.
Right. Yeah, yeah. There was a lot going on in that documentary, and as like a person that would consider themselves like a movie, more or less like horror, exploitation, collecting like physical media. I had really no idea that there was such a big world for video game collecting, especially retro games. So
Yeah.
that kind of opened like a whole new world to me that was like, wow, like there really is, some hardcore retro game collectors out there.
Yeah, yeah. And do we mention the name Rarity Retro Video Game Collecting in the Modern Era? Yeah, it came out last year. It's all over the place if people actually want to watch it.
Yeah, yeah, as like a, like I mentioned, like a horror fan that uh is into like horror exploitation films for the most part. I found the documentary just being very entertaining. There's a little bit of um everything for, like for everybody. And and just watching some of the interactions with some of the people that were on the documentary, uh there's a lot of similarities, especially like VHS collectors. It's more or less like there's a lot of collectors out there that are only in collecting for like the thrill of the hunt, like going to the garage sales, going to the flea markets. um Used to be thrift stores, but not so much anymore. I think a lot of people that go to thrift stores are really catching on to, hey, this is probably worth something. So, I used to find a lot of great VHS tapes just going to um little flea market antique booths, even like the Goodwill, Salvation Army. I used to find some great stuff. I found for 10 cents, because there were 10 for a dollar in the sale. I found a Tempe video released. It's a shot on video film called The Scare Game, and it's a movie that is just very hard to find. And somehow, lo and behold, someone was just getting rid of it at a thrift store for 10 cents. So I'm looking around, I'm like, is this reality right now? Like, am I looking at a tape that, you know, I I can hardly even find online? So it's like the thrill of the hunt is part of the fun. So, seeing a lot of these retro game collectors finding games that are like, holy grail pieces to them, or, you know, game pieces that they would never have dreamed of finding, and then, finding it to little to, couple dollars or so. It's just, an amazing feeling, to find something that you just never thought that you would ever find. So, I could see like the similarities, in between like VHS collecting and retro game collecting.
Well, the big similarity that's like just developing now, like you've probably seen people getting their VHSs graded and stuff by like IGS, and some of them are going for like a lot of money. Like the original Star Wars, I think went for like $25,000. Um, and yeah, for people that don't know, we talk about like how grading is affecting the video game community, but now people are grading VHSs. And I actually do my I have three Goodwills within like 5 minutes of each other in my town, just in my town here.
Hmm.
As well as like there's this road that's considered like they call it like Art Alley or something like that, or it's called technically called Magnolia Park, but it also is called Art Alley, and it's just like all personal owned like thrift stores of different kinds, either thrift stores or like themed thrift stores. So there's like one that's like horror themed thrift store, and there's like
Hmm.
a thrift store that specializes on like 70s clothing, and there's one that specializes on like furniture, and then there's like the little like church ones and stuff. But I would say within like a 2 mile span there's probably like 20 thrift stores.
Hmm.
And, dude, I found like I can't even get to like how crazy of like things I found like tons of sealed horror VHS. I think I got like the Langoliers sealed. I got trying to think right now. I've gotten some like Nickelodeon sealed, like old school Nickelodeon VHS sealed.
Hmm.
Um, I even found like some video game sealed that I ended up getting for like $5 there, and then selling for like $75. So, and sometimes
Nice.
multiples of the same game, as if someone just like got rid of all their extra copies of a certain game. One that comes to mind is like Transformers for Xbox 360. There was just a bunch of sealed. There was like 3 sealed copies just one time when I went, and there was a few other sealed games as well. And I think the whole trip was like a $15 trip, and then like it turned into like, close to $200 or $300 in profit.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah,
And that's always such a cool feeling to, especially if you have doubles of something. It's like, you really don't have, unless it's like a film that, or, a game or whatever it may be, it's somewhat sentimental value. A lot of people aren't just going to keep doubles of, you know, Puppet Master or your, whatever film.
I want to show you some. You know what I found there? You know what I found
What?
there?
What?
Sealed.
Demon Knight sneak peek. Ooh, you don't see
Yeah,
that one every
it's
day.
like it's like the early what they would send to like video stores and stuff to like play. It's not the actual movie. It's like sneak peek and behind the scenes and stuff, with like the do not sell on the bottom and stuff. But yeah, it's all
Right.
fully sealed. Got that at Goodwill.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's a good find right there.
yeah,
It's like, when you find tapes like that at a Goodwill for, 2 for 88 cents or whatever the sale is,
yeah,
man, like you just can't beat them type of deals.
yeah. And then one time I won this contest on Instagram, and the guy gave me like some cool stuff, but he also gave me like some gag gifts, and one of them was like a VHS for this movie called Gonjosaurus Rex, and it just sat in my closet for like 2 years or whatever. And then I happened to just like look up like what it was worth, and someone actually bought it from me on eBay for like $135.
No kidding.
Yeah, this
Wow.
stupid little like Godzilla who smokes weed, like old like 1970s movie.
What? Sounds
Yeah,
awesome, actually.
yeah. Check it. I mean, check it out. The actual VHS is green. The case is green. It looks like it was like Xerox from like a 20s printer or something like that. It's like
Huh.
really really rough, but
I wonder who
yeah,
put that out, because I don't know if I've ever even heard of that one.
yeah. Well, this guy gave me like, so he gave me. Here's the cool thing about it. So he sent all a huge box, because that's what I won. He was a guy. He's a guy. Marijuana VHS kid is what he goes
Oh,
by.
okay. Yeah, I know that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. So I like won one of his contests, and the contest just showed like this. Remember the old school game Monster Mash, the board game?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So there was like a Monster Mash board game, and for the longest time, I didn't open it. I was just like, oh, Monster Mash board game, put it in my closet. And then one day, I happened to be like looking for something else, knocked the board game over, and it opened. And yeah, the Monster Mash board game was in there, but it was also filled with these like weird VHS and the different things. It wasn't just the game in there, and that was where the Gondosaurus was, and there was like some like old school like kung fu movies and stuff that I didn't even know how to pronounce. Yeah, I ended up one guy I think I bought like 20 of the things that I got from this guy from me for like pretty good money. And then like down the line, that Gondosaurus, he didn't want the Gondosaurus Rex, and I think like I offered it to him for like $20 at the time. And then yeah, on eBay years later, I looked it up and it was a lot more. So
Wow.
yeah, you never know what treasure you're gonna get at these places.
Right. Like I don't know if I want to say this, but because like, I feel bad like if I know something's not worth something, but yet I sell it for, something higher than what it is. Like I tend to feel bad, but at the same time I'm thinking, well, if they think it's worth that, then I shouldn't feel bad. But knowing that there was like a sealed VHS craze going on where people are buying sealed tapes because they can get it graded and this and that. I end up finding like a Final Destination sealed tape at a thrift store. Had it just because I was like, well, all right, I might be able to trade it or something. Someone might want a sealed tape. Well, threw it up on eBay and someone overseas paid like $100 for it.
Wow.
And I was like I felt bad because I'm like, man, people are actually buying movies for like hundreds of dollars that are sealed tapes. So like I was kind of joking and put like $99, you know, just because sealed tape, and I seen everyone else is selling them high and put it on there. Lo and behold, I was shocked to see that someone had bought in it. So, there really is a market out there for even tapes that you don't even think are gonna be worth anything.
Yeah,
Um, maybe they know more about that tape than I do, and maybe I messed up. I don't know. But to me,
yeah,
I just thought, paid a couple, not even a dollar, and profited way more than what I paid for it.
yeah. It's a cool thing about the market is like it'll kind of tell you what things are worth. Like whatever, you know, things are only worth what someone will pay for it. You know.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that kind of opened my eyes, and I kind of looked more into like the high tail end tapes, and I seen like the original media Killer Clowns from Outer Space going for like 30K, like something ridiculous. But there's, so many people watching it, and it was from one of those high profile or whoever is actually doing the authentications of um grading. And I was like, holy crap, like this is legit. Like people are paying what you would pay for a brand new car, but for a tape.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's insane, man. Um, should I mention the Blu-ray for Rarity just to put a? All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So I'll grab it too. I don't even know if you saw this. So for Rarity, we made Mega Cat Studios, a cool company that makes like new retro games. Essentially, they make like uh, NES and Sega games today, like new games for old systems.
Wow.
I knew him from a little while back for another movie that I'm working on right now, and I just messaged the owner of the company, and we put together this Blu-ray. It's like an NES box, and it has like a manual inside, which has all the people in the documentary and their bios, and then there's like a fold-out poster. Um, and for people who actually know who some of these people are, like Angry Video Game Nerd is in it, James Rolfe, as well as some other like high-end collectors in the retro world. And yeah, this thing is the collector's Blu-ray. And it comes with like loaded a bunch of extras and all that kind of stuff when you get the Blu-ray, or you can just watch it, like I said earlier, on a bunch of different streaming networks, Amazon, and all that kind of stuff.
For sure. Yeah, man, the case looks so cool. Yeah, this brings you back to when I used to, well, I had a Nintendo, but I was more of a Sega Genesis guy. So I got,
Me,
you
man.
know, so it kind of reminds like the Sega Genesis a little bit. Is like is the inside of the box, is it kind of built sort of like, like how you would take a tape out, or
I mean, it's just like a way like a Nintendo box would be.
okay.
The only difference is instead of a Nintendo game, there's a jewel case with a Blu-ray in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, man, the packaging looks awesome. Um, and then at the very end, not to really spoil anything, it's not really a spoiler, but you're gonna be working on a second one. Is that one still something that you're considering making, or
Oh,
um,
I'm doing more than considering it. We've already done like 16 or 17 interviews for it.
okay.
But yeah, it's in the middle. And then also, and I'll announce this here. I think this is the first place I've actually announced it. I'm actually working on a toy one that's of similar, similar interests. It's basically like rare toys and stuff like that. That's called Collecting Yesteryear.
Hmm,
And we're
okay.
getting some bigger people in the toy world. We just did it. If you know who Ed's Retro Geek Out is, Ed from Ed's Retro Geek Out, he's like a big person in like the retro toy world, and we just got him to do an interview. He lives in Belgium, but he travels all over the place,
Oh wow.
collecting toys and finding toys. Like he just did a whole like Mexico tour where he went with a few people from Mexico all around to yard sales and stuff and got like some like really rare He-Man figures and Ninja Turtle stuff. And yeah, we're gonna be talking about a lot of cool stuff like knockoffs, and just how over the years knockoffs have become almost more collectible than the actual toys themselves because of their rarity. Um, and just have a lot of cool stuff in the same vein as like a Rarity, but with toys.
Okay. Yeah, I can get behind that. Yeah, I always like watching just, I might be a little bit younger than you, but I grew up in the 90s and just, seeing all this stuff is like nostalgia for me. Like it just brings me back to, like when I played Sega Genesis and uh, the VHS tapes obviously left an impression on me because I'm a big collector with VHS tapes. Um, so, those sort of like media, I don't know, the pop culture of just those entities has always kind of left an impression on me. So, and even like with toys, I don't have a whole lot of toys. I do have some action figures and stuff like that. So, I would definitely uh, check out a old school toy documentary for sure.
Cool, man. Yeah, we're gonna talk about band toys and all kinds of stuff.
I got a it's unpackaged, but I got a Street Sharks toy that the head is kind of like rubbery, so like the top of the head can like bend and move like he can chomp on the bad guys or whatever. Uh,
Is the smaller ones or is it the actual hand puppet you're talking about?
well, it's not the hand puppet. It's probably like a 7 inch. I can probably just show you real quick. Just 1 second.
Yeah, I have quite a bit of Street Sharks. They're I haven't got
Uh,
full on to the line. Like right now, I'm trying to really collect for Ninja Turtles and Masters of the Universe. But if you look behind me, like above me up there, there's like I have um, the full Battle Trolls set. A
okay.
few of the box and stuff. And then I also have like a whole Power Rangers case back there. So
Yeah, you definitely got me beat on the in the toy game for sure.
it
uh,
wasn't on purpose, man. I started collecting the Sega games, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, you know how it actually happens, and a lot of people have said that it's the same way. Is like you take a picture for Instagram of a certain video game, and then it happens to have like a toy that's like associated with it. Like so, I found myself like I took a picture of like a Power Rangers game, and I was like, oh, this will look a lot better with Power Ranger toys next to it. And the same thing with like Ninja Turtle stuff, you know. Um, I
yeah,
just
for
kind of
sure.
wanted the picture to look like cool, so I added more stuff to it, and it just so happens that it was like got me into this whole toy collecting craze as well.
Heck yeah. Yeah, like whenever I see like, toys in the wild that really catch me, I'll try to pick them up like if they're decent price. Like there was like one like I can show you right now cuz I'm not even sure what it's from. I think it's from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but you might be able to help me. Just real quick. I got it right over here.
Sure.
Um so like it's kind of like an enemy type of looking guy.
Yeah, so that's a it is, but they ride it. It's supposed to have like a saddle, and they
Oh,
ride the
okay.
yeah,
I,
I forget what the name is. Yeah, he's that's so cool.
Yeah, like yeah, his head's kind of floppy, but it's supposed to be like that. But like just looking at him, I'm like, all right, he's got the bands on his leg, like how the turtles do. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't remember him from like the cartoons and whatnot, but I was like, I'm just gonna pick him up for like $1 and then just I don't know, find out more information about him.
Yeah, dude. Sometimes depending on where you're looking, turtles I think you get the best deals on like marketplace and stuff because just people aren't gonna it's so abundant and people aren't gonna actually go and look up the prices for. So you get some really good deals. Like when you look behind me this way, you see like the turtle van and copter right there. I got for like $15 total.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it was just a marketplace thing. And I think
Nice.
the van usually goes for like 15 to 20 by itself, and then the copter usually goes for about another 15. So yes, but the things with like He-Man, it just keeps going up and up and up. Like the average figure for He-Man is over $30.
Ooh.
Not complete or anything, just like the figure itself.
Oh man. And I'm sure the price is just gonna keep going more and more as time goes on.
Yeah, and there's so many variants. I actually had a friend from Massachusetts. Actually, he he was trying to get rid of his childhood Ninja Turtles and and other figures and stuff. And there was some He-Man stuff in there, and I just took like a quick look at it, and I was like, "Hey, I'll give you $100 for this." And I figured there was like a few figures I didn't have, and then like lo and behold, I come home and it was just the lighting that he had. Like one of the figures that he had was they call it like, have you heard of like Grizzlor from He-Man? He's like this furry creature and he has like a bat shield.
Mm, I think I've seen them.
There's like a green, there's like a brown one, and then there's like a dark one, like a black faced one. Not black
Mhm.
faced, racist black face, but like its face is black instead of brown. And that one is like a $300 figure on its own, and that
Oh,
was just like
damn.
a lot of stuff. And I found that out like later. Um, but yeah, like cool stuff like that. It's awesome when that kind of stuff happens in the wild. Like I found like Mighty Max stuff in the wild.
Oh man,
Um,
I'm so glad you brought up Mighty Max because
yeah,
if you can get some info or like, have some documentary stuff on Mighty Max, that would make me so happy because that's something that like I used to have as a kid and it seemed like no one else had it. So I'm like, how do you guys not remember Mighty Max?
yeah. Well, the thing about Mighty Max is like it never got as popular as Polly Pocket where it came from. But yeah, it's a company in Europe, actually in Britain, called Bluebird, and they still make them. Like some people still make them to this day. Like people make custom Mighty Maxes to this day, and they're actually like pretty popular. And like people will make ones that are like a lot more gory and messed up than the previous ones, and sell them on eBay and Etsy and stuff.
For sure. Um, so yeah, man, the documentary, the Rarity documentary is amazing. Can't wait to see. I guess that you got two other ones coming, right? Like, or is Rarity 2 going to be the toy one?
No, no, Rarity 2 is going to be its own thing, and then Collecting Yesteryear is its own thing. I'm
Okay.
kind of working on them both right now in conjunction. So like it really is the cool thing about documentaries is you don't need like a set time to do them. It's just kind of when the people are available for an interview. And just like Rarity, like some of the interviews are going to be remote interviews, some I'm going to travel to, some are local to town. So it just really depends on people's schedules and who agrees to be in it. Um, because we want to like approach people like Laura Legends, who's like a really known YouTube person for toys, like probably the biggest YouTube person for toys right now, at least retro toys. Um, and then for Rarity 2, what we're doing is we had like I think 20 interviews for the first Rarity. And we're gonna probably have it double it with like 40 interviews in this one,
Oh
and,
wow.
and have a lot of like so it was a lot harder to shoot the first Rarity because it was in the middle of COVID, so it was all
Mhm.
the stuff. The only thing that made it easy to travel to people was because it was so cheap because of COVID. Um, but now with all the regulations and stuff, like I feel like a lot more people will be down to interview whether we come to them or not. Because we lost a few interviews in the first one because people were just like scared to be in public or didn't want us to go in their homes and film their collections because they were scared we were going to give their family COVID or something. Um,
Right.
so now it just the whole world's opened up, and we actually did it a different way to actually streamline the process so we can get it done faster. Before, what we do is we just interview people, whatever questions, like 50 questions, whatever, and then whatever in editing came together. Now what we did to streamline it is we actually have an outline of like we already know what the chapters are going to be for this one, and we're asking people like, hey, here are the chapters, can you talk on any of these subjects? And they pick the subjects that they're able to speak on. So then it also adds a lot more room for different people. Like you might see like one bigger YouTube person in like only one chapter, but they're very knowledgeable in that chapter. Or we might see like at the end of one chapter, we go to someone's collection and you see just that one collection in its full entirety. Um, so yeah, for this one, we have a lot of cool things planned. We are doing some traveling. We're going to be going to Houston, and we're going to have two different. So we're going to have an interview for the toy documentary in Houston. Um, where we're going to this guy Raul's house who has like literally 30-foot ceilings, like you'd see in those old libraries that have like the ladders that go up to the different shelves. He has
Right.
that for toys, and he has like all the holy grails of toys. He's in Houston. He's like a radio host for like a Mexican radio station, and he just like he contacted Ed from Ed's Retro Geek Out, and they did some stuff together. And I just saw that collection. I was like, Ed, you got to reach out to him, and he said yes. So, and then we have another guy for Rarity 2 who actually holds the Guinness Book of World Records right now for the most Sonic the Hedgehog items in the world. So he has this huge, massive home just filled with like rare stuff down to like, you know, things you could get at like Burger King to like everything. So
wow.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. Yeah, who doesn't like Sonic? And I'm glad that, you know, he's kind of making a comeback with, you know, the movies and the video games. I think there's just a new Sonic game that just got released. So, yeah, man, for sure. Definitely look forward to seeing those documentaries.